couple pieces of information of the Canada Halifax mission. It covers a few different provinces in Canada, and then it goes into a little part of the United States. There is Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Labrador, Newfoundland, and Maine. Something important to remember is to call it Newfoundland. A lot of people say like Newfoundland and these other things. It's Newfoundland. Something funny that the people do there, if you pronounce something wrong, is they call you CFA. You're a CFA. Come from away. So do your best to do your research on how to pronounce things. It's not a bad thing to be called a CFA. It's just kind of funny. So the areas that I served in or the provinces that I was able to serve in was Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and then I did get to serve in Maine. I didn't get to hit Prince Edward Island, which is one of the more popular provinces there. And then Labrador, no missionaries go on there. It's a pretty desolate place. It's just basically covered in snow. So nobody ever goes there. Religious climate and challenges. A lot of the more popular religions over in the East Coast are Pentecostal, Baptist, I would say Catholic is pretty popular, as well as Protestant. There are lots and lots of different religions, and I guess another pretty popular one is just a non-denominational church. There are lots and lots of churches out there. It's pretty common to drive down the street and pass about 3 churches. It's not Mormon churches. They're all different kinds of churches. As I'd said, a lot of them are non-denominational or Protestant and Pentecostal. But a lot of them are Christian, which I found to be great common ground with these people, being able to talk with them about their love of Christ and how they see him and how they worship him, and sharing that connection was great. To be able to say that I'm a Christian too, and I love Christ, and this is how I worship him. That also could be a challenge, having them be Christian as well. I found sometimes people didn't understand that we were Christian. They didn't know, or they didn't necessarily believe that our religion believed in Christ, or they just didn't know. So I found that one of my missions, my personal mission on my mission, was to share with people that we were believers of Christ, that we loved him and worshiped him. Another challenge, as I mentioned in another clip, is their love of the Bible. Their strong belief that the Bible is the only book to read from and to pull their religious facts from was a challenge at times as you tried to share your belief and testimony of the Book of Mormon, which is very powerful, but hard at times. So I found what helped was to make a connection between the two. Sharing because there's connections between the Bible and the Book of Mormon everywhere. That's what the Book of Mormon is there for, as well as the Bible. So always bring in both into your testimony. Helped me to say I believe and testify of the Bible as it is true and translated correctly, and the Book of Mormon. To share your testimony of both. Church units, attendance, and temples. So there is one temple in the Canada Halifax mission. It is located in Halifax in Nova Scotia. It's this cute little temple, and one of my very first days there, we were able to go to the temple, and I remember when we first came in, we had to take our shoes off. And I know in a lot of other states or other places that maybe you or where someone else has been, they take their shoes off in the temple, but I'd never had to do that before. So I remember walking in and taking my shoes off at the front, and it's just this small, beautiful temple in the city of, I believe it's Cole Harbor, and it's rare as a missionary to be able to attend there, but occasionally you get to go. Church units and attendance. The church I found was pretty scarce out there. It was a dramatic change for me coming from Utah, where there were only a handful of wards, a lot of branches, and then a couple of really small units that out there they called twigs. I'd never heard of that before, but they were too small to be a branch, but there were lots of different branches throughout the mission, as well as other little units of people that weren't big enough to be a branch. One area that I served in Newfoundland, called Gander, there wasn't a branch there. It was in a town an hour away in Grand Falls, which I think is called Grand Falls Junction now. And it was a small little branch that Skyped in to a neighboring branch about 3 hours away. So we had to drive an hour to this little apartment building where about 7 members met. And then we Skyped into a branch 3 hours away in Corner Brook, where another handful of about 30 or so members met, and we had a sacrament meeting with them there. The missionaries have a big role to play out in that mission, particularly the elders who can hold those priesthood roles. In this area I served in Grand Falls, the elders were branch presidents, second counselors. They held a lot of these positions to help these members learn and grow. In Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, the church is a bit stronger and has more availability to priesthood holders who could hold those leadership roles. And those wards were incredible to serve in, to see their strength and their faith. Newfoundland was one of the places where my testimony I felt grew the most, and where my appreciation for the church grew. One of my experiences on Newfoundland in an area I served called Bay Roberts. It's this small little branch, and the area covers about 4 hours worth of land. So there's a place called Marysville, about 3.5 hours away, and then 2 hours north. And there were some members that couldn't make it out to church. They have a 3.5 hour drive. They're not going to make it all the time. So we would try to call them every now and then and just give them an uplifting message over the phone. And I remember calling this woman one time, or this sister one time, and when I picked up the phone, she was so excited to hear from us. So excited. And as I was talking with her, she said how much she missed being able to meet with a congregation of people and be able to take the sacrament and feel of the Spirit that you feel when going to church. And it just dawned on me how selfish I'd been growing up and even on my mission. These people who have lived in these places for many, many years and have to travel extreme distances through extreme weather to be able to feel of the Spirit that's brought with meeting with other members. And I get to have that whenever I want. I can walk around the block and experience that. And my point of view changed. And I was able to, I feel, more appreciate what has been provided to me and just handed to me throughout my life. Attendance for church members. There are two sides of the spectrum, I felt, in my mission. There were those that came every single week. They were amazing. And then there were those that didn't come that often because of distance or other difficulties. And then there were those that it just was impossible to get them to come. And as a missionary, you feel so incredible when you get someone to come to church. It's so exciting when whoever you've invited, whether that be an investigator or less active or another member, you invite them and you just feel so incredible that you got them to come. And you pray with all your heart that they have this amazing experience while there. But it's hard to get people out to church. It really is. There's so many obstacles. A lot of them don't have vehicles. The weather is a big obstacle, and it's hard. So do not lose faith. Try every single week and invite them out to church. They will come. They will come eventually, whether that be you or the next set of missionaries or the next set of missionaries.